Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel. In this tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to make this Christmas tree bulb, a little quilt block here. Now it's very simple, there's not a whole lot of pieces to it. You can turn it into a quilt if you want to, or table runner, even a pot holder. Now I made it into this pillow and I put 2 of them on. Okay, let's get started. To get all of the supplies and the cutting instructions, it will be listed below your YouTube screen in the description section. Scroll down till you see the word More, click on it, and that section will expand open and you will see all of the information that you need. Now in the lower portion, the main large bulb area, you're going to need 4 1.5-inch squares, and you need to draw a line from one corner to the other. So use a ruler because you're going to get a much straighter line, and then use a pencil and draw a line. Then you're going to place it on your bottom and top strips of fabric in the corners. Now you're going to stitch near the line. Make sure if you're stitching right on top of the line that your stitching does not go down towards the lower part here. Your stitching needs to be slightly above the line on this side going towards the upper corner, but not too far away. So do that on all 4 corners. Now after stitching, you're going to trim some of this fabric off in the corners. Leave about 1/4 inch. And trim it off either with a rotary cutter or scissors, and you do it on both of the top strip and lower strip in both corners. For the very top portion of the bulb, you'll need 2 background pieces that are 1.5 by 2.5, and then 1 piece of darker fabric for the very top of the bulb that's also 1.5 by 2.5. You're going to bring them with front sides, or called right sides of the fabric, the pretty sides. Stitch a 1/4 inch seam, and then bring the other one right sides together, pretty sides, and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam, and then press both seams. Then after you've pressed the seam on this side, then open this up and tuck this seam underneath your center piece of fabric, and you do the same thing on the other side and press it flat. Again, the seams are going towards the center piece of fabric. Now lay your rows out in this order, and you're going to stitch all of the rows together using a 1/4 inch wide seam. So bring the second row and the top row together and stitch a 1/4 inch seam, and I recommend that you pin them together, especially if you're new to sewing. Then when these 2 rows are stitched, bring the third row on top. You're bringing the pretty sides, called right sides, together. Stitch a 1/4 inch seam, and then bring the very last row on top and stitch a 1/4 inch seam. So now this is what it looks like, and I'm going to turn it over to the back, and then after you've pressed your seams, you want to now press all the seams, either going all in one direction or some of them going in towards this way. It doesn't matter, it's just as long as all of your seams are pressed towards whichever is your darkest fabric. That way the edge of the fabrics will not show through to the front side. So once you've stitched these rows all together, it's a 6.5 inch size. But I'm going to show you how to add additional background fabric to make it an 8.5 inch square, which is perfect for a pot holder, and you can even turn it into a quilt block if you want to make your block larger. So cut 2 strips for each side that are 1.5 inches wide by 6.5 inches long, and you're going to bring them on top of each other like this, and then stitch a 1/4 inch seam, and do the same thing on this one. Stitch a 1/4 inch seam. Then always press your seams and then unfold them and press the seam towards your darkest fabric, which is probably going to be whatever you have in here. Then after you've got these 2 seams pressed, now you're going to add 2 more strips of fabric, one at the top and one at the bottom, and stitch a 1/4 inch seam and press them the same way you did on your 2 side strips. Now, this is a pillow I put together, and you don't have to make it like this. This is just a suggestion. But how I went about adding additional fabric to get it into this pillow, which is about between 16 and 18 inches, is I added additional piece of fabric up here. And to put the string that holds the bulb onto the tree, I added ribbon. So before I attached this piece of fabric to this block here, I stitched the ribbon on so that the raw edges would be concealed in of the seam. So I add a piece here and over here. Then I went down to the bottom and added a piece of fabric, and then another one over here. Now you've noticed I've staggered them, so you can stagger them if you want to. Then I added a strip of fabric on the side, and then over here in the center is just a narrow piece of fabric, and then again off on the other side, so that there's a little bit of background fabric showing all the way around before I finished off the pillow. Well, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you try making this little quilt block. Down below your YouTube screen, I'm going to have other suggested tutorials, some quilt blocks and other projects that you can do. Now, if you don't know how to finish off into a pot holder, I will have a link below that's 3 ways to make a pot holder. And what it is it will show you 3 different ways to cover your raw edges, from really simple basic to a little more difficult, plus other suggested tutorials. Now don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl. This is Manny. See you next time.